Hey friends, in this video I want to share um, my journey of how I went from walking with a cane, sometimes not even being able to move, to now being virtually pain-free. And so um, I hope you hang with me for a few minutes so that maybe my story will inspire someone else. So a lot of my younger childhood, I was sick and in the hospital. And then throughout my teen years, I had quite a bit of trauma to my body. And then adding on pregnancies and things like that really added to the pain. And by the time I was 27, pregnant with my fifth child, I I found myself in physical therapy for 15 months because I could hardly move. And so I was in physical therapy the majority of that pregnancy, and then quite a few months after. And my life was pretty hard pain-wise. If you were to ask me, on most days, where my pain level was, I hate the rating 0 to 10, but it typically laid on an 8. And so that really affected my mood. It affected my being able to take care of my children and do things with them. For my fifth baby's baptism, when we were at the church, I didn't dare hold her because I was in so much pain, and I would lose mobility on one side from the hip down where I couldn't bear weight. So I was afraid that I might drop her. So we had absolutely no pictures of me just trying to get through that baptism. And it was very depressing. And as I was going through looking at the pictures of my beautiful baby and knowing that just trying to get through that time just so that I could get home and sit and take a pain pill. I made everyone the following week after my flare had died down. I made everyone get dressed back up in the exact same clothes, and we went to the church and we did fake pictures. Obviously the priest wasn't there. We didn't redo any of the baptism pictures, but we redid the family pictures with her in her baptism gown. And that was in 2005. When I completed my physical therapy, my physical therapist had said, this is as good as I'm going to be able to get you. Your body has just had so much damage done to it, and it has a memory. And so he would help me with exercises and manipulations and things like that. And he would get it to where it was good, and within a few hours to a day it would be back. So I was told I'm going to live in tennis shoes, and to just keep the cane nearby. He informed my doctor. I had MRIs done and all of this just to make sure there weren't any disc issues. When my body would go out of alignment, it would pinch nerves, and there wasn't anything that they could do other than try and calm everything down. So I basically was on a standing prescription of Tylenol with codeine and Vicodin, and they would alternate those. So with narcotics, you can't get refills. So, I would try to use them as sparingly as possible, but when you've got, 5 little kids that you're trying to keep up with, I learned how to function very well on pain pills. I never drove. That would, been foolish, but I could get up and manage to sit there and school my kids and have at least 3/4 of a brain, not burn the house down. And so I learned very well how to manage with those pain pills. And when I would run out, if I had a flare, all I had to do was call the doctor and they would call in a new prescription for me. And that was my life. I had other, health issues. I've got a rib muscle that ripped and didn't heal properly. for the majority of my babies, I struggled to keep my breast milk up past, 9 months. Just getting to 15 months was an extreme struggle, and I always wanted to be, a baby-led wean, and that's not what was happening. But my main issue was my pain. And I remember one time when my now 20-year-old, almost 20-year-old, we were out front, and I was sitting on the steps, and I was in the middle of a flare-up, and I wanted the kids to be able to ride their bikes on the sidewalk, so I would sit out and watch them, and I was in so much pain. And you know how little toddlers just think it's so hilarious to run away from their parents because they want you to catch them. They want you to play with them. And I told him to come here, and he just thought it was funny. He was like 3 and a boy, all boy. And so he thought it was hilarious, and he made a beeline for the road, and there was a car coming, and I went in, obviously, to fight or flight, and I was fighting my body, and it was all I could do to hobble quick enough to him. I couldn't grab him because he was too far. All I could do was literally hobble, and I shoved him to the ground. Thankfully, he was in the grass, not on the sidewalk, but and then I just cried because I was sitting there thinking, what kind of mom am I that my body is so broken and there was nothing that I could do? I did the exercises faithfully that my physical therapist gave me, but that I couldn't even protect my kids. Like, I felt like I couldn't even sit outside with them to watch them and keep them safe from harm. So that was my life. Then in 2009, this amazing company entered my life, my family's life, by the grace of God. There's never a doubt in my mind that it wasn't God that put it there. And I was just out of energy. I was trying to help my husband. He's a type 1 diabetic. So I was always trying to find something to help my husband. I never was worried about myself. My issues as a mother and a wife were always on the back burner. So I was a stay-at-home mom, and it was important that Ryan keep his blood sugars under control and that he has energy and he could be a good dad and be good at his job. And so I spent thousands of dollars, way too much money, on every pill, potion, lotion, promise that the health food stores tried to make. Nothing ever helped. So I had given up. I was like, none of that. There has to be something else. And my friend, who has been using these products from Neolife since before she was born, her mom actually started using them while she was pregnant with her, gave me a box of what then was called Formula 4, and I wanted Ryan to try it, and he wasn't going to have none of it, so I used it, and like within 3 days, I had my breast milk started coming back, and I never imagined that. So I was able to actually nurse Ellie until she was over 2, which was amazing. And so my friend was like, yeah, it's all about cellular nutrition. And I was like, oh, duh, you're only as healthy as your cells. I know that. I know we're made up of cells. But my brain never clicked. So I started doing a lot of researching on nutrition and researching this company, which I'm not going to get into in this video. If you want more information, I would be happy to talk with you or whatever, but it's a great company. It's all whole food concentrates. I don't even like to call them supplements. Sorry, I was out with the chickens and I think I got a feather. Because it's just food. 65-year-old company. But I knew in my gut and in my heart that this was what God had brought and to help me and to help my family. And so I started looking at some of their things, and and I knew that I had a lot of inflammation, and I was eating the way that the doctors told me to eat, try and eat those whole grains and get lots of vegetables and fruits in, and keep your fats low. Everything that you're told should be good. Ryan was trying to eat the same way, and like I would cook and I would measure everything out, spaghetti noodles, half a cup, and I would write down on a piece of paper for his lunchbox how much carbs were in his lunch, and then what protein and everything was in there according to what the nutrition labels say, so that he would know how much insulin to take. And at one point his A1C was over 14, and so that's how we lived. And then Neolife entered into our life, and it really saved Ryan's life. Again, that's another video, but he was really, really sick, and the doctors didn't know what was going on with him. And so through my research, I figured out we needed to correct his digestion, and that's what we did, and it took care of everything. So everything was going along good, and my pain at that time, after introducing certain Neolife products, went from being 9 to 10 almost every day to being about a 2 to a 3, and I could just manage with some Motrin or Tylenol if it got too bad. So that was just huge to me, and I couldn't remember a time that it was like that. And then in 2011, we suffered a stillbirth, and we lost our son Christopher at 34 weeks. And that was really devastating. And so then I really wasn't eating much, depression, and my electrolytes got all out of whack, and I knew that because I was having like all these crazy things happen, nearly passing out, and I figured it out before I even went to the doctors, and so I was able to correct it. But I know, had it not been for like my salmon oil and the things that I was taking, I wouldn't have gotten any nutrition. And but that entered a pain cycle again, like I couldn't get it under control. So I was actually on Percocet, which is stronger than oxycodone or Vicodin, and then I was back on the pain pills, and I slowly started getting it down. And thank God for my chiropractor, because he kept me walking through my pregnancies and really helped with the pain. And so did really well through my 9th pregnancy. And after she was born, thanks to Neolife bringing my pain level down, it didn't. I still had a lot of inflammation, and I could feel it, but it actually gave me the ability to be able to get to the gym. And so Ryan and I got a membership at Planet Fitness, and we started working out, and it really helped my back, my muscles, and I had gotten quite heavy, because as you can imagine, having 9 pregnancies and really being limited in your mobility, and then eating the standard American diet does not bode well for a nice body. It wasn't until our vacation in 2016 where I allowed pictures of myself to be taken, and I just nearly cried. I couldn't imagine how I got that big. And I'm only 5'1", so sometimes it's like just having 5 extra pounds really makes you look quite heavy. But it was like all in my face and my rolls, and I just didn't like how I looked. I didn't like how I felt, and I knew that extra weight was really hurting my joints. And so we started going to the gym in 2016. And you can see the picture here is a progression. It was a picture taken in church at my daughter's confirmation in 2016, and then shortly after we started going to the gym, and then May of 2017, I was in Denver, and I just felt really pretty, and so I was outside, and I was trying to take a selfie with the mountains behind me. I couldn't get one, so I just settled for this selfie, and I never would have taken a selfie before. And so I put that together because I just thought that was so powerful to really see that comparison. And so the gym, I loved going to the gym, and I had gone down some pant sizes, but I lost a lot of that water weight, a lot of the pudginess. I still had a lot. It wasn't like I was a toothpick or anything, but I was happy with myself. But I spent a lot of time there, trying to get that, and then it ended up where all of a sudden I was going backwards, and I could go to the gym every single day and be there for 2 hours, and I was eating the 6 small meals a day like I was supposed to, and my clothes were getting tighter, and I was starting to gain weight again, and I couldn't figure out what it was, and so I thought maybe I was working out too much, raising my cortisol too much. But then I was thinking, well, it really can't be that, because it's not like I was strenuously working out. But I knew my hormones had always been wacky, so I just couldn't figure out what was going on. And I decided that I just I couldn't afford it wasn't that I couldn't afford the gym, I couldn't afford going the time there anymore. I was just too busy between tax season and trying to be home with my kids and everything. It was just, I wasn't enjoying it. The trainer had left, and obviously it was just getting really hard. And if I wasn't going to make any gains, what was the point? So in the fall of 2018, this is where my life really changed. I mean, it had changed already, and I had made it through, persevered through so much, through all those years of pain, through the loss of my son, 9 pregnancies, having to work third shift at a hotel to make ends meet. God had always seen us through all this. And so my father-in-law went down to Milwaukee with me and the kids for a field trip because we homeschool. And my size 14 jeans that I had slowly crept back up into out of my 8s, they were cutting into my sides. Like, I was so uncomfortable. I said, Joe, I got to stop at a Walmart. I got to pick up a pair of stretch pants or something, because I'm not going to make the 2-hour drive home. And there wasn't any department stores around or anything, so I was just like, I just unbuttoned my pants and unzipped them and just tried to pull my shirt down as far as I could, and I made it home. And that night I messaged my friend, who at the time lived in Seattle, and she was actually getting ready to move home to near where I am. And she had been doing this fasting thing with her husband, and she had talked about the ketogenic diet a few times, but that she wasn't like doing it or anything. And I had absolutely no interest in the ketogenic anything, because my husband is a type 1 diabetic. So all we have ever heard from his doctors are ketones are bad. Ketones are bad. It will lead him into ketoacidosis, and that was it. And then it makes it hard. You're going to kill his kidneys. And this wasn't even about the ketogenic diet. This was just about, they want 0 ketones. And so that is all I knew. I knew that ketones were bad. I knew that eating too much fat, I thought I knew, eating too much fat was going to be hard on the liver. It was going to be hard on the kidneys. So I wanted nothing to do with the ketogenic diet. And I have a lot of people come to me for advice or needing to answer questions. And I'm just going to put this out here right now. If you asked me years ago about eating ketogenically or high fat, and I told you don't do it, it's dangerous, please accept my sincere apology, because I had not done my due diligence in my research, and I gave you piss poor information, and I am sorry. And I am doing everything I can now to correct that bad information that I had given in the past. So anyway, messaged my friend. I said, okay, Jeremy's looking great. Who's that dude that you're reading? And I'm like, please tell me everything about it. She's like, I don't have time to tell you because I'm trying to pack to move. I said, just give me the names. I'll buy the books. So it's Dr. Jason Fung's Obesity Code. And she said, he does talk about, eating high fat and all of that, but you can do this on any way of eating. So I was like, okay, that's cool. So I got his book, The Obesity Code, and I devoured it. And I got his fasting book, and I devoured it. And the light bulb went on that this was the last piece that I had been missing. I learned about hormones, and I learned about inflammation, and I learned about insulin and how our food choices really eating those grains. Oh, and I forgot. Prior to that, we had been eating paleo-ish, because, we'd fall off every now and then. We had been eating paleo since about 2014. Because I had been reading and I knew grains and gluten and things were really bad for us. So I had cut that out as much as we could, and it really helped Ryan's asthma and stuff. And it did help my pain a little bit because I didn't have as much inflammation, but we were eating a lot of fruits. So then I had that sugar, and that never dawned on me. So I knew that, about grains and gluten from paleo. But I didn't put together that every time I put something in my pie hole, I was shooting my insulin up. And that's where the weight gain was coming from. Here I am killing myself in the gym, but I'm working against my body by eating multiple mini meals a day. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And so right then and there, I decided I was going to start fasting. I knew I needed to research more about eating low carb, high fat. I also had very bad hypoglycemia. My blood sugars could drop like that, down into the high 40s, low 50s, and I would have all the symptoms, and I would test it with Ryan's meter, and so I was not sure how all of this was going to play out, but I really felt through prayer that this was where I was supposed to be. And so I started just by cutting out the snacks. And then I had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I did try to make sure that I had more fat so that I would stay satiated. And then I continued my researching, I continued my learning. And so through Dr. Fung's work, that led me to read so many. I read Gary Taubes and all kinds of books about sugar addiction and carbohydrates. I read Dr. Westman. I'm trying to see everything that's on my shelf. I just poured. And I mean, if there was a book that someone I trusted recommended, I got it. And then I found Dr. Ben Bikman, and he is like the insulin expert. And so I watched every lecture that he's ever given, every interview that he's ever given. And so from the fall of 2018, which you can see in this picture, is I did a comparison when I started the fasting and really lowering my carbohydrates to I think that was the summer of 2019. So really just, it might have even been the spring of 2019. Really just a few months, and you can just see the difference. And so Ryan started doing some intermittent fasting, and I slowly worked my way up to where I could do 42-hour fasts 3 times a week. And that was just huge. And that took my pain from where it was a 2 to a 3 most days to virtually a 0. And I would have a little bit of flare-ups here and there. And I learned that eating ketogenically is something that has been done for eons, and that it's really only been the last few hundred years that we've been eating this. And really, the food pyramid in the standard American diet has really only been around since the 70s. So like I had to dig for a lot of this information, but thank God there's doctors out there now and experts and researchers that are putting this out there. And so the information is there. And so I just devoured it. Now I've got a few thousand hours at least in studying. I could probably write a dissertation. I have no want to do that, but it's now my mission, more now than ever, to help anyone who wants to be helped get where I am, because I know that pain. I know that being where you just feel like you're stuck. I thought my life was going to be a cane and tennis shoes forever. That's what I was told. And I didn't know I was raised on processed foods, and that's what I fed my family for a long time until I found out about paleo. So I'm thankful that I found out about paleo, because at least it led me down a better path and got me to now. And now I spend a lot of time watching and listening to Dr. Ken Berry and his wife Nisha. She's also a nurse. And I love the phrase that he coined, proper human diet. And the reason I love that is because the ketogenic way of eating has such a negative connotation to it now, because you have all the fad ketoers and that was something else that I heard. Oh, with keto, you got to make sure you hit your fat macros, and you got to have oils, because if you can't, then you might as well just like take some tablespoons of olive oil or whatever. And I'm thinking, where's the nutrition in that? There's no. But that's what you find when you just search ketogenic diet. I wanted the real science. I wanted to know the truth. So proper human diet is where it's at. And I love that there's a spectrum of it. My kids eat proper human diet, but they can have some fruit. My husband should not have fruit, or at least minimal, because he's a diabetic. So, there's a spectrum, but you're just eating a whole food. You're eating whole foods. And what I have found in the last couple months is that taking my personal carbohydrate level down even further to nearly almost 0 most days has helped my pain so much. Like I was a 2 or 3, maybe a 1 or 2, and now there's virtually nothing. If the weather gets really bad here, because we live by the lake, I might get a flare up in my ribs. But other than that, I'm starting to lose some of the weight that 2020 brought. And so, I had gained some back because it was, been a stressful last couple years. And but I'm getting there, and my Ryan is, he's getting there. He actually said yesterday that he's noticing, he's feeling more energetic, that he doesn't feel as sluggish and stuff anymore, and I have him pretty much eating carnivore. He'll have some veggies here and there, a couple times a week, but not like every day. And so I'm just excited. I am excited to bring proper human diet and Neolife for filling in some of those nutritional gaps that some people may have. Bringing them together with intermittent fasting and coaching people and helping them reach their goals. That's where my heart is to help people. And you need magnesium, you need minerals, you need vitamin D. There are some things, because much of our food is depleted from that, and that's for another video. But I have those tools, and I have this tool of fasting and eating just the protein and the fat. And I can't keep that to myself. So I really wanted to just share this. The cane has been put away for many, many years. I did have to bring it back out last year when I sprained my ankle really, really bad. And I needed that for a little bit after I got off the crutches. But it wasn't because of any flare-ups. So that was great. And I can now wear pretty dress shoes and heels. And things that I just never, ever thought I was going to be able to do. I can go on bike rides with my kids now. I can rollerblade. I don't rollerblade too much because I am old and I don't want to fall and hurt myself. But it is just amazing the things that you can do. And it really is true. If you give your body what it needs, God has designed our bodies to heal, but we need to give it the food and the fuel it needs to heal. So before I end this, you can always check out the other videos that are on my channel. You can also go to my blog, Sherry's Low Carb Kitchen, and it's a little bit out of date, but I'm working on getting that back up. But I would also highly recommend checking out Dr. Berry on Facebook, YouTube, and getting his book, Lies My Doctor Told Me. It's phenomenal. I actually have it out on loan to my chiropractor right now. Also, look up Dr. Ben Bikman in YouTube. Phenomenal. And get his book, Why We Get Sick. And definitely get the book that got me all started on this, Dr. Jason Fung's Obesity Code. If you're a type 1 diabetic or you have a type 1 diabetic child, please look up Dr. Bernstein. He has a whole bunch of free videos, and get his book, The Diabetes Solution. He helps diabetics have normal A1Cs, and he's a diabetic himself, and his story is phenomenal. There's loads and loads of books, and I think at some point I'm going to do a book review video, if I think that will be helpful. But those are the ones that I would really suggest, and I'll also drop those books and any websites down in the, I don't know what they call them, the show notes, whatever, in the video description. So I hope that you found this helpful. If you did, please share it. Share this with whoever that it might help. Make sure you like my page, hit the thumbs up, and see you in the next video.